The rain always came without warning in Seoul, quick, silver, restless. It painted the city in streaks of neon, turning every street into a dream of blurred lights and moving reflections. For Zuri, it was comfort. She stood by the tall glass windows of the university's design studio, watching drops trace paths down the pane as if racing each other. Inside, the room was quiet, just the soft hum of the sewing machines, the scattered rolls of silk and chiffon, and her music playing low from her phone. She had stayed late again. The others had already gone home, but she didn't mind. Nights like these, when the city's heartbeat slowed and her mind was alive with ideas, were when she created best. On the mannequin before her hung a half-finished piece, a sleek, black evening gown, daring yet elegant. The kind of design she had once sketched on the back of her school notebooks in Nairobi, dreaming of someday walking through Paris or Milan with her name whispered among the greats. Now she was closer than ever. Seoul had been her chance, a scholarship, a door into a world she'd only seen in magazines. But dreams had their price. Loneliness, culture shock, homesickness. Zuri sighed and stepped back, her fingers brushing over the soft fabric. She missed home, missed her mother's cooking, her sister's laughter, the smell of rain on red earth. Here, everything was different, fast, polished, cold. Her phone buzzed. A message popped up from Achieng, her best friend back in Kenya. Achieng, 2 hearts. Hey, superstar, smiling face with heart eyes. How's life in K-drama land? Eating enough kimchi. Don't fall for a K-boy, ooh, face red. Zuri smiled, typing a quick reply. Just working as usual, and no K-boy yet, face with tears of joy. Miss you. She set her phone down, tidied her desk, and gathered her sketches into a neat pile. It was late. The rain had grown heavier, drumming gently on the windows. Pulling her hood over her head, she stepped out into the city night. The streets were slick and shining, alive with the reflections of street signs and passing headlights. Seoul in the rain was beautiful, almost cinematic. Zuri moved through it with quiet purpose, holding her umbrella in one hand, clutching her sketch folder in the other. She loved walking home. It gave her time to think. Her apartment wasn't far, a small studio tucked near Hongdae, close enough to the music and laughter, but far enough for peace. As she crossed a narrow street, a sudden gust of wind caught her folder, tearing it open. Her sketches flew out like startled birds, scattering across the wet road. No, 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 she gasped, darting forward. Cars hissed past. She knelt, gathering the pages, heart pounding, 1 page, 2, 3. Then came the flash of headlights. A black Maybach rolled to a smooth stop, just inches from her hand. The tinted windows reflected her startled face. The door opened. From the back seat stepped a man, tall, broad-shouldered, wrapped in a tailored black coat. His hair was slicked back, his face chiseled, pale under the streetlight. But it was his eyes that made her freeze, dark, sharp, unreadable. He crouched, lifting the last sheet, the one that had landed in a puddle. You should be careful, he said in smooth, low English, voice calm but heavy with authority. Seoul doesn't stop for anyone. Zuri blinked, stunned, clutching the papers against her chest. I didn't see the wind coming, she stammered. He glanced at the sketches, then at her. These are yours. Yes, my designs. His gaze softened slightly, tracing the bold lines and colors on the soaked paper. You have vision, he murmured. Not many do. He stood, offering her the last page. Their fingers brushed. A spark, quick, warm, unexpected, passed between them. Thank you, she said quietly. You're welcome, he hesitated. You're not from here. Kenya, she said, straightening. I study fashion at Seoul University. Zuri, he repeated after she introduced herself. It means beautiful, right? Her eyes widened slightly. Most people never asked. You know the meaning. I make it my business to know what things mean. He smiled faintly, or maybe it was just a shadow. Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, he nodded, stepped back into the car, and the Maybach glided away, leaving Zuri standing in the rain, her sketches pressed to her chest, her heartbeat unsteady. She told herself it was nothing, just a stranger, a brief encounter. But deep down, something in her chest whispered otherwise. That night, she dreamed of dark eyes and silver rain. Days passed, the memory faded or tried to. Zuri buried herself in schoolwork, projects, and part-time shifts at a small boutique near Gangnam. Life in Seoul had a rhythm. She moved with it, slowly, carefully. Until the letter arrived. It came tucked in an elegant black envelope with silver ink. No return address. Just her name, Zuri Njeri, written in flawless script. Inside, an invitation. You are cordially invited to a private fashion collaboration showcase at Club Noctis, Seoul. Your designs have been reviewed and selected for presentation. Formal attire required. Her hands trembled slightly as she read it. Club Noctis, she had heard of it, an exclusive, members-only club known for its secrecy, luxury, and power. Students didn't just get invited. Someone had seen her work. That evening, she stood before her mirror, adjusting her simple black dress. Her curls framed her face, gold hoops glinting softly in the light. She took a deep breath and whispered, "You belong here, Zuri. You've earned this." Outside, Seoul's night pulsed like a living thing. Club Noctis sat hidden behind marble walls, its entrance lit by a single red neon crescent. Two men in dark suits guarded the door. Zuri showed her invitation. One scanned it, then stepped aside. Inside, her breath caught. Gold and black shimmered across every surface. Crystal chandeliers floated above like frozen stars. The air smelled of jasmine and whiskey. People glided through the room in designer suits and gowns, laughter low and practiced. Zuri moved carefully, feeling eyes on her, curious, assessing. She held her chin high. "Miss Zuri," a waiter bowed. "Mr. Jae-Hyun will see you now." The name hit her like a chord. "Jae-Hyun," she echoed. The waiter nodded and led her through a corridor lined with black mirrors, into a private lounge. There he was. Jae-Hyun, the stranger from the rain. He sat by the window, city lights painting silver along the edge of his jaw. A glass of whiskey rested on the table beside him. His suit was black, crisp, his expression unreadable, but when he saw her, his eyes softened just slightly. "You kept the name," he said. "You're the one who invited me. I told you Seoul doesn't stop for anyone, but sometimes," he rose, stepping closer, "it waits." Zuri swallowed hard, trying to steady her voice. "Why me? You barely know me." "I saw your sketches," he said simply. "Courage, color. Soul, you design like someone who's seen both joy and struggle." A pause. "I want that in my collection." "Your collection?" "I'm launching a private line under my club's brand. I want you to lead it." Zuri stared at him. "I'm still a student." "Talent doesn't wait for degrees." His gaze lingered, dark and unwavering. "Say yes." She hesitated. Everything about him screamed danger, power, mystery, control. Yet there was something else beneath it, something quiet. "Yes," she whispered. A small smile curved his lips. "Good." And that was how it began. Days turned into weeks. Zuri became part of Nocti's atelier, the club's secret design wing, hidden from the world, yet crafting for the city's elite. She worked late under the soft glow of chandeliers, sketching gowns and suits inspired by moonlight and shadow. And always Jae-Hyun was there, watching, guiding, testing. He never raised his voice, never rushed, but the air around him was electric. When he walked into the room, silence followed. His presence was command. And yet with her, he was different. Sometimes he'd linger by her table, studying her sketches in silence. Sometimes their hands brushed when reaching for the same fabric, and the world would go still. Zuri tried to ignore it, the heat in her chest, the way her pulse quickened when his gaze found hers. But love, like art, refused to be hidden. One night, as she packed up her things, he appeared at the door. "Walk with me," he said. Outside, the city stretched beneath a sky heavy with clouds. They walked in silence, the hum of traffic below, wind teasing her hair. "You work too hard," he said quietly. "You pay me too well," she replied with a smile. He looked at her then, really looked, as if searching for something he'd lost. "You remind me of someone," he murmured. "Who?" "Someone who believed I could be good." His voice held a sadness she couldn't place. Zuri wanted to ask more, but the moment shifted. The sky broke open, rain spilling down in silver sheets. She laughed softly, lifting her face. Not again. He watched her, hair wet, eyes bright, laughter pure. And for the first time, Jae-Hyun, the untouchable king of Seoul's underworld, felt something he couldn't control. He stepped closer. "Zuri," he whispered. She looked up. "Yes." He reached out, fingers brushing her cheek, tracing the raindrops. "Tell me to stop." But she didn't. And under the rain-soaked Seoul sky, their lips met, gentle at first, then deeper, a promise and a warning tangled into one. The city never slept, but that night, it felt as though time had stopped. Rain drummed softly on the rooftop where Zuri and Jae-Hyun stood locked in that breath-stealing kiss. For one suspended moment, Seoul disappeared. It was just them, two souls from different worlds, bound by something neither had planned, nor could now escape. When their lips parted, she felt dizzy, her heart racing, her breath quick. His hand lingered on her face, thumb tracing her jaw, eyes soft yet stormy. "Zuri," he murmured, voice hoarse, "you shouldn't be near me." She blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" He took a slow breath, stepping back as though fighting himself. "There are things about me, things you don't know. If you stay close, you'll get hurt." She stared at him, the man who could silence a room with a glance, now looking almost vulnerable. "Then tell me," she said softly. "Let me understand." He looked away, toward the city lights below. "Not tonight." And then he was gone, swallowed by the rain and darkness, leaving her standing in the cold, heart trembling, mind spinning with questions. The next morning, Zuri tried to focus, tried to bury herself in fabric and sketches, deadlines and measurements, but his absence was like a shadow over the room. He didn't come to the atelier for 3 days. Everyone around whispered, quiet, careful tones, as if afraid. She began to notice things she'd never paid attention to before, the way the security guards bowed when they saw him, the black cars waiting in silence, the air of fear that followed his name. Jae-Hyun Kang. It was during lunch, sitting alone in a quiet cafe, that Zuri overheard the conversation. Two businessmen at the next table, speaking in hushed Korean. Kang Group, fronts for the underground, his father built the empire. They say the elder brother died in a gang war. No, he was betrayed, by family. Zuri froze, her chopsticks trembled. So it was true, Jae-Hyun wasn't just rich, he was dangerous, a man who lived between boardrooms and blood. And she had kissed him. Her heart raced, she should have felt fear, but all she felt was ache. Because love, once planted, didn't care for reason. That evening, she found herself walking again toward Club Noctis. The guards let her in without a word. The halls were quieter, the music lower, the lights dimmer. Something in the air felt heavier, a tension she couldn't name. She found him in the private lounge, standing by the glass wall, staring out at the rain. A half-empty glass of whiskey sat untouched beside him. "You came," he said without turning. "You've been gone," she replied softly. "I needed to remind myself who I am." Zuri stepped closer. "And who is that?" He turned. His eyes met hers, dark, conflicted, tired. "A man trying to leave a world that won't let him." He walked toward her, each step slow, deliberate. "My family built something powerful and poisonous. When I took over, I promised myself I'd clean it, make it legitimate, but there are debts that can't be erased." "Then why tell me now?" "Because you deserve the truth." "Beat." "And because the more I try to stay away, the more I fail." Zuri's heart pounded. She reached for him, fingers grazing his hand. "Then don't." He exhaled, long, trembling, then pulled her close. Their lips met again, slower this time, deeper, as though sealing a promise neither fully understood. In the weeks that followed, they fell into a rhythm dangerous, intoxicating, beautiful. Zuri would spend her days designing, her nights beside him in quiet luxury. Dinner in candlelit rooms high above the city, drives through streets that glowed like veins of light. Sometimes he would take her hand, tracing circles on her skin, and tell her stories of Seoul before the glass towers, of loyalty and betrayal of his brother Jinho, the only person he had ever trusted. "He died for me," Jae-Hyun once whispered, "and I've been paying the price ever since." Zuri would hold his hand tighter, seeing not the Mafia boss the world feared, but the man trying to rebuild himself from ashes. But peace, in Jae-Hyun's world, was an illusion. It started with a warning. Late one night, as Zuri closed the atelier, a shadow detached from the alley across the street. A man in a gray coat, face hidden, spoke in accented English. "You should leave him, while you still can." Zuri's blood ran cold. "Who are you?" "Someone who owes him nothing. He's marked, and soon everyone close to him will be too." Before she could reply, he was gone. That night, Zuri couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, memories of Jae-Hyun's words replaying in her head. "You'll get hurt." Morning found her restless. She went to Club Noctis, but security turned her away. "Mr. Kang is in a private meeting." Hours passed. The city felt heavier. When he finally appeared that evening, his face was hard, eyes stormy. He was wearing all black, no smile, no warmth. "Zuri, you need to stay away from the club for a while." "Why? What's happening?" "Business." "Don't shut me out, Yi." Her voice trembled. He froze at the nickname. No one called him that. He closed his eyes, then stepped forward, pulling her into his arms. His embrace was fierce, desperate. "If anything happens to you," he whispered into her hair, "I'd never forgive myself." "Then let me stand beside you," she said against his chest. "You don't belong in the dark, Zuri." She looked up at him. "But you do, and I love you anyway." The words escaped before she could stop them. He went still. Slowly his eyes opened, and for the first time, Zuri saw him break. "Don't," he whispered. "Don't love me." But it was too late. She reached up, cupping his face, her thumb tracing the sharp line of his jaw. "I already do." His breath caught. Then slowly he kissed her, not with fire this time, but with sorrow. It was a kiss of surrender. That night in his penthouse overlooking the Han River, they made love for the first time, a storm of passion and tenderness, his guarded soul unfolding under her hands. He kissed her like a man starved, touched her like she was both his salvation and his sin. When dawn broke, she lay in his arms, tracing circles on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "What happens now?" she whispered. "Now," he murmured, "I fight for a way out." "And if you lose?" He turned, eyes locking with hers. "Then I'll make sure you never fall with me." Zuri rested her head against him, silent tears trailing down her cheek. Because deep inside, she knew, love like this never came without sacrifice. Days bled into nights. Rumors grew, whispers of betrayal within the Kang group, of rivals circling like wolves. Zuri saw the change in him, the sleepless eyes, the tightened jaw, the extra guards. She wanted to help, but she was an artist, not a soldier. So she did the only thing she knew. She created. She poured her fear, her hope, her love into her designs. Dresses that shimmered like moonlight, suits stitched with fire. Pieces that told a story of beauty born from darkness. And Jae-Hyun watched, silently, proudly, knowing that even if his empire fell, her art would rise. One night, he didn't come home. Hours turned to dawn. Her calls went unanswered. Then came the news, a shootout in Gangnam, 2 cars destroyed, 3 men dead. Zuri's heart nearly stopped. She raced through the rain, tears blurring her vision, until she reached the club, only to find it locked, surrounded by black-suited men. "Where is he?" she shouted. "Where's Jae-Hyun?" A familiar voice answered behind her. "Alive, for now." She turned. It was Min-soo, Jae-Hyun's right hand, tall, scarred, loyal. "He's hurt," Min-soo said. "They tried to take him, someone betrayed us." Zuri's knees went weak. Take me to him, she pleaded. He said no one. I'm not no one, she snapped. I'm the reason he's still fighting. Min-soo hesitated, then nodded. Come, but know this, Zuri. Once you walk through that door, there's no turning back. She squared her shoulders, eyes blazing through tears. Then open it. The black car slid through the back streets of Gangnam, tires whispering on wet pavement. Zuri sat in the back seat beside Min-soo, her hands clasped tight, knuckles white. Neon lights streaked past the window like broken dreams. Where is he? She asked again, voice trembling. Safe house, Min-soo replied, eyes fixed on the road. He took 2 bullets, shoulder and leg. Doctors say he'll live. Zuri closed her eyes, tears spilling silently. Relief mixed with terror. The man she loved was fighting for his life, not in a boardroom, but on blood-stained asphalt. When they reached the warehouse, Min-soo stopped the car and looked at her. Inside, no one speaks unless spoken to. Stay close. Zuri nodded. She followed him through a steel door, the smell of antiseptic and gunpowder heavy in the air. And there he was, Jae-Hyun, shirt torn, shoulder bandaged, sitting in a chair as a doctor stitched his wound. His face pale, jaw clenched, eyes burning with rage and pain. The moment he saw her, he froze. Zuri, he whispered. She ran to him, dropped to her knees, took his hand. You scared me half to death. He reached up, brushed her cheek with trembling fingers. You shouldn't be here. And leave you to bleed alone, she shot back. Not a chance. A small, broken smile curved his lips. You're too good for this world, Zuri. Then let me be your light, she said fiercely. Let me help. He hesitated, then pulled her into his arms, resting his forehead against hers. Someone close betrayed us, he murmured. They leaked our roots. Jin-ho's old lieutenant, Park Di-ho, he wants the throne. Zuri swallowed hard. Then we fight. I've been fighting all my life, he said softly. I wanted something different with you, peace, a future. Then fight for that, she whispered. Not the empire, fight for us. Her words sank deep. His eyes softened, then hardened again with purpose. Min-soo, he barked, get everyone ready, we end this tonight. The hours that followed were a blur of movement, men gathering weapons, cars loading, maps unfolding across tables. Zuri stayed beside Jae-Hyun, bandaging his arm, refusing to leave even as chaos swirled around them. You'll wait for me, he said finally, voice low, if I don't return. Don't you dare finish that sentence, she cut in, eyes blazing. You will come back, you promised me a sunrise. He looked at her, really looked, and something in his chest cracked open. He kissed her, slow and deep, as if memorizing the taste of home. Then I'll fight to see it, he whispered. Midnight. Gangnam's outskirts. The old dock stood silent under the moonlight, until black cars rolled in like shadows, headlights slicing through fog. Zuri waited in the safe house, packing, her hands trembling around a silver pendant he'd left her, a small compass with his initials. She tried to sketch to calm her mind, rough lines of Seoul's skyline, the river, the stars. But every sound outside made her heart leap. When the explosion came, it ripped through the night. Zuri screamed. Min-soo burst through the door moments later, blood on his sleeve. Stay here. Where's Jae-Hyun? He's fighting. Park Di-ho ambushed us with 50 men. Then I'm going. Zuri, no. But she was already running, into the rain, into the roar of chaos. The docks were hell. Flames rose from burning cars, men shouted, guns echoed like thunder. Zuri stumbled through smoke, calling his name. Jae-Hyun. Then, through the haze, she saw him. Fighting hand-to-hand with Park Di-ho, blood on both their faces. Di-ho was older, bigger, fury in his eyes. You were never strong enough to lead, Di-ho snarled. And you were never loyal enough to follow, Jae-Hyun spat, striking back. Zuri's heart pounded as she crept closer, eyes wide. Di-ho drew a gun. Zuri screamed. No. The sound distracted him for half a second. Jae-Hyun seized it, twisting the gun away, slamming him to the ground. A single shot rang out. Silence. Park Di-ho fell. Jae-Hyun stood over him, chest heaving, smoke curling around his silhouette. Then he turned and saw Zuri. "What are you doing here?" he shouted, running to her. "I couldn't stay behind," she cried. He grabbed her, pulling her into a fierce embrace, rain washing blood from his face. "You're insane," he whispered, voice shaking. "I'm in love," she said. "There's a difference." He laughed, raw, broken, and kissed her like a man who had just fought death and won. Around them, Min-soo's men began securing the docks, sirens echoing in the distance. "Police?" Zuri asked. "No," Jae-Hyun said quietly. "Freedom." He took her hand, led her to a black car waiting by the pier. "It's over, Zuri. The Kang named the Empire, it dies tonight. From now on, we build something new. Together. Always." 1 year later. Spring sunlight spilled across the terrace of a small atelier overlooking the Han River. Inside, fabric shimmered, music played softly, and Zuri Kang, once a student, now a rising designer, smiled at her newest collection. Fire and bloom. A story of love rising from ashes. Behind her, arms wrapped around her waist, Jae-Hyun kissed her neck. He wore no suit today, just a white shirt, sleeves rolled, scars fatting. "Still can't believe we're free," he murmured. "You fought for it," she smiled. "We both did." He lifted her hand, the silver compass glinting on her wrist. "You were my North Star." "And you," she teased, turning to face him, "were my chaos." They laughed softly, eyes meeting. The city stretched beyond, alive, bright, endless. And as the wind carried the scent of spring blossoms, Jae-Hyun cupped her face and kissed her, slow, certain, eternal. "I love you, Zuri." "Always," she whispered, "and in every lifetime." Above them, Seoul shimmered, no longer a city of shadows, but of second chances. Cherry blossom, the end cherry blossom.